Yeah.
It
Well,
is.
basically, this next topic happened because Gamer didn't like Saints Row, but it looks like Embracer Group is shutting down Volition Games, which this I don't know. This is really crappy, in my opinion. Volition is a company that's been around for like 15, 20 years and has made like a lot of video games. And they made one bad title. Made one bad title. And I think one thing that's coming out about this is a lot of people are kind of, I don't know what. It's looking more like Embracer is just like I mean, typical. They're a money hungry company who's mainly interested in making money. And it's like, they spent money on this developer and they made something bad, so it's like, but we're gonna get rid of all of them. It's just like,
I think the larger issue, I mean, there's that, but AAA games have bloated up to this just unreasonable level, and the expectations of the profits that are going to come from these games have also ballooned. So if a game fails, there's
So
just no wiggle room anymore. Like, because here's the thing, Volition, not Volition, but Embracer, I'm sure lost quite a bit of money for Saints Row being a subpar game. I mean, is that all Volition's fault? Is that the publisher? I mean, that's a whole different argument, but I'm sure they lost a lot on that game.
mhm.
So, from a business standpoint, it makes sense to cut your losses and move on. So, if you're looking at just pure business, now if they had better structured the game, set better expectations, and maybe framed it differently where it wasn't such a big a loss, maybe that could have done things better. Maybe that's something that was on more the publisher side. Maybe they should have gone in and restructured things, or was it the developer pushing? Like, there's so many things here to say, but I think just in general, games have gotten quote unquote too big, for better
mm-hmm.
or for worse, and it's not always for the better, right? Just because a game costs more to make does not mean it is, a quintessential better game because of it. So I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a wake up call for any publisher or anything by any means. I'm sure they're going to keep kind of going with the same, general MO of more money, bigger games, and just keep that machine going until they go bust, essentially. But that busting day could come sooner rather than later.
It's just like, I agree with that sentiment. I think that's why, unfortunately, that's the outlook that Embracer Group has when it comes to Volition. I know we're over time, but it's just like, dude, this is like a critically acclaimed, big developer. They've made like
Oh,
a
it's a
ton of
shame.
games, and they made one bad game. It's like,
But how much? Now, I didn't look at the numbers, so I don't know exactly how much they
mm,
lost. But if they lost enough, yeah, you don't always get second chances when the stakes are that high. I mean, imagine if you were, and this is once again really hard to frame, but if you were the company who just put out $100 million and you just lost 50 of it,
mm,
how are you gonna feel?
Or more.
it's not my
Yeah,
money.
and I'd say I'm just throwing numbers out. I mean, I'm sure that's nowhere near the mark. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
far more, far less. But I don't know. It is a business. Games are a business, and we've seen that. I think it's become more and more apparent if you kind of see, the more behind the scenes stuff with like the Sony versus Microsoft on the acquisition nonsense and closures like this. Like, it's just what the state of the industry is like. And I think we have moved past sometimes of a game just being a simple, well-funded game without being this have to be major AAA spectacle. There used to be a space for those AA games to kind of live and thrive, like those Man-Eater kind of games. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
not even AA, maybe that's single A. I don't know. But point being, as a game should just be that the original Saints Row was not this massive
No.
game that I recall. I mean, it was a GTA clone, I'm sure, with a much smaller budget,
Saints Row
and it was a lot of
2 is
fun.
where it took
The game
off
was,
too. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, there were different expectations. They, I think, understood what the game needed to be, and this, I don't know, it felt like Saints Row had to be this bigger thing than I think it ever was supposed to be. So I don't know.
Look
I
at
won't go too far
the
down into
people
that,
that
but it's just
made
a weird spot the industry's
the
at.
people that made Two Human were given more chances to make games after that. So times are different. Times are different. I'm
You know,
thinking
with Silicon Knights, didn't they go bankrupt after Two Human because they
they
tried to sue Unreal and they lost?
no, Kingdoms of Amalur, wasn't that their last game? Wasn't that the same
That
company?
wasn't Silicon Knights.
Was it not?
No, Silicon Knights. Oh,
It's
okay.
funny
I'll
I
go
bring that
check.
up
You
because
want
this is
to?
something you've said that like you want to do a video on at some point. Is that whole
Well, it's an
saga?
interesting thing.
I thought Silicon
Are they
Knights
still in
made Kingdoms of No,
business?
they're out of business, but I thought Kingdoms of Amalur was
Filed
the.
for bankruptcy in 2014. Did they?
I thought it was the same company.
Maybe you're right. That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember.
Maybe maybe you are right. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts only developer 38 Studios.
Maybe it's a different. I don't know.
Studios kind of overuses Unreal. I mean, they're popping up in the same articles. Like, I won't go down this.
Nah, we
I just
won't.
remember Silicon Knights was a whole
I was just
whole
joking.
debacle with.
Anytime I
All right.
get any chance I get to rag on Too Human, I'm gonna throw it in there. All right, so